Welcome in, everybody, to the Voice of College Football's Miami Postgame show. Not a lot to be super happy about tonight. That was not only possibly the most boring game I've ever watched, but not quite the good outcome either. We thank you for tuning in. I'm joined here by Hurricane Central, Slim Shady Canes, and Pigskin Pete wanted to jump in and join in our misery with us tonight. Hurricane Central, Slim Shady, Pete, how you guys doing tonight?
That's it. Yeah.
What about you, Slim? You're muted, by the way. That might be a good thing. Maybe he muted himself on purpose because those were words that weren't allowed to be said on
Throwing
Voice
some
of
stuff
College
around in
Football.
the back.
So sorry, my mute button got stuck
Gotcha.
Stuck.
for a good reason. We'll leave it there.
What say you?
Listen, I expected us to lose this game. This was definitely a slog to sit through and watch. Not how I saw it going, but whew, they got a couple things they need to work on. I'll put it nicely.
Yeah, well, we would like to welcome in everybody, whether you're a troll, whether you're a Miami fan, suffering in this miserable world with us at this point. Just each and every one of you. It's great to have you here. Troll away, do whatever. We're all grown men here. We can take it. We've taken it for 17 years. So
There's a real original comment. Hey Miami, where'd you get that offense?
Yeah, that's a friend of mine trolling.
Nice, cute.
Yeah, well,
there.
that is a friend of his that I might add almost just lost to South Florida. So let's keep things in perspective.
If it wasn't for a bad hold.
We were actually live streaming the game just now, and Guru, he was actually on there live streaming with us. So we laughed and we're bored as hell. We kept each other awake. Guru, Mr. Duggar, and K-Dog and I. Yeah, we all kept each other awake through that. It was pretty rough. But yeah, thanks everybody for stopping in. I guess we can jump right into all the bad. Pigskin Pete here. He is I guess a neutral person, as he is a Clemson fan, which doesn't have a whole lot to be happy about either. But what'd you think, Pete?
I don't even know what I just saw. I don't know how I got suckered into doing this tonight, but here's what I thought last night when I agreed to do this show. I said Clemson's going to roll, a 50-point victory over Louisiana. Louisiana Tech's terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the Conference USA. I did a stream, a members-only stream for the Miami and A&M game because that's the one they wanted to see. I just figured Clemson's going to roll. I don't have to have anything to worry about. I'll watch this Miami game, have a good time. Turns out, not much better than Miami on my situation. So I am perplexed and perturbed right now at my own team and what I just saw. That was physically painful to watch for 3.5 hours. And I'm not an A&M fan or a Miami fan, but
it was boring. I mean, the whole game was boring.
It's just so many mistakes were made on both sides of the ball, but the special teams for Miami is awful. I don't know. I mean, you guys saw the game.
What do you think, Hurricane Central?
All right. Let me.
All right, everybody sit back. Here we go. Brace yourself.
Okay. Let me start positive before I start ragging on things. Defensively, first show I came on, I had issues with the defense, but there's nothing really negative I can say outside of there's a few runs that we gave up about 11, 12, 15 yards, but stuff like that happens. But for the most part, we had a lot of 3 and outs. We were able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, able to hold the run very well. Defense played well, really only gave up 1 touchdown. I'm not going to count the one off the muff punt because what are you going to do when there's that short of a field? It's just can't really hold that one against them. But defense really only gave up 10 points. Offensively, I think we got a problem. The concern at receiver is real. A lot of people after the last 2 weeks were saying, "Oh, those concerns of players dropping the ball, that's That's gone. 1 drop over 2 games. We had a lot of drop passes. Tyler, last game, he didn't look good. This game, he didn't look good at all. Missed a lot of throws, a lot of underthrows, stuff like that. Receivers dropping the ball. Henry Parrish had a really big drop on a 3rd down where the field goal was missed by Borregales. Could have at least gotten a closer field goal. Would have definitely been a 1st down on that play. Maybe even gotten an actual touchdown instead of just scoring 9 points. Special teams, not good outside of Lou Headley, but we could have said that for the past few years, especially 2019 with Bubba Baxa and Camden Price as our kickers. Tyreek Stevenson's stupid decision to field that punt. You just got to let that roll, man. A lot of dumb penalties, especially at the end of the game where you get in a situation where you're in a 2nd and 30. I mean, still a lot to work on. Still earlier in the year. Not going to say the season's over. In the past, we definitely would have gotten into College Station and they would have put 50 on us and we would have only scored the 9 points. So the score would have been like 52-9 or 42-9 or something like that. So, hey, at least there's that. At least the defense stepped up and they did what they needed to do. And like I said backstage, if you were to tell me A&M only puts up 17 points, I say, all right, cool. I'm confident to say that we win that game, but we didn't because we couldn't even get in the freaking end zone. So,
yeah, you summed it up pretty nice there. Slim, you want to take a more a different route, or what do you think?
Well, I'm not really going to give up. I'm not really going to say anything much about the defense because, I mean, what much can you say? They gave up the opening drive for the field goal. Okay, you're feeling out your opponent. I can let that go. And then you gave up the 1 touchdown drive in the 3rd quarter. Obviously, the only other one was, muff punt, short field. I'm not gonna take your lunch money over that. Special teams. As good as Keyshawn Smith has done, I'm wondering why Tyreek Stevenson was even put in that position. That one's kind of leaving me scratching my head. Borregales, I think before tonight, he's missed 1 kick in his Miami career, and he had 1 missed tonight and 1 blocked. I don't put blocked field goals on the kicker. I mean, I know that it goes on their stats, but me personally, I don't put it on them. I mean, he has no control whether or not that line blocks the defenders or not.
Well, I know it's like they brought out Shaquille O'Neal to jump up there and block that. That guy must have been 7 foot tall.
I mean, he got through the line. Like, it wasn't just that he was tall. He pushed through.
Right, exactly.
If I'm not mistaken, he sat down Ja'Kai Clark. If I'm not mistaken, that's who it was. And got through and got a hand up to block it.
And Adam, the sports guy, he's like, let's stop acting like everyone just rolls into College Station and wins. And I do agree. And like I think everybody else is saying, our defense actually really did a stand-up job to hold Texas A&M to 17 at College Station. That's pretty impressive. Like you said earlier, if you'd have told me they only scored 17, there would be no doubt in my mind we would have won that game.
If you look at the stats, they only scored 17 points. They only gave up 264 yards of total offense. Miami had 400 yards of total offense and had 9 points.
Right.
That's the story of this game.
Right. It's we have to say our defense looks good. There's not a problem there, but we really have to look ourselves in the mirror and admit to ourselves that we have a problem with our offense, without a doubt. It's not clicking. It's not ready. A lot of stupid play calls. I mean, I don't understand like that. That was a designed quarterback run. And what were we like 3rd and 24 or something like that? Yeah. You pull a designed quarterback.
It's not Lamar Jackson back there. It's Tyler Van Dyke.
Well, even with Lamar Jackson back there, you don't run it on 3rd and 24
or 2nd and goal near the goal line and you're down. Why are we running a quarterback run with Tyler Van Dyke on 2nd and goal? Why?
Well, I think it had shown at that point, and it was later in the game. At that point, I think that just shows that, at least as far as this game goes, Josh Gaddis had lost faith in the wide receivers. Because, and I've seen a lot of people in comment sections tonight, because I've been flipping from show to show to show. And everything was the same in all of them. Yeah, bench TVD, it's time for Garcia. Van Dyke had 4, maybe 5 bad passes. The rest of them hit wide receivers in the hands,
He
hit
had
wide
4 or 5
receivers
drop
in the
passes too. I don't understand the criticism of this. Was not Van Dyke's fault this game, not even by a long shot.
No.
It wasn't.
So many of them were hitting the hands, hitting the numbers, hitting the face mask.
Yeah, he missed a few key passes that that he really should have been spot on with them, like wide open receivers, and he missed them. But I mean, you're going to expect right, exactly. I mean, but you can't put it all on him. Like even the last play at the end of the game, I mean, that ball was right in that guy's hands.
So I want to see, like Rob Dukes in the chat, the hell it wasn't Van Dyke's fault. Look, so no blame for the special teams, no blame for the offensive line. I mean, can we talk about that for a second? I mean, Van Dyke
that offense,
was life.
He was.
Yeah, he was pulling grass out of his helmet. I mean, his jersey was green.
He made amazing plays. Van Dyke was far from the worst thing that tonight that I saw. Far from it. Wasn't great, but I'm not making excuses for the guy. But the quarterback position was not the problem. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I completely agree.
Something else, like I saw people being like, Josh Gaddis, there was bad play calling. We need to go to more vertical, get more vertical throws. Well, when you have receivers that can't beat press coverage off the line and can't create that space or can't catch the ball, and the only thing really working for you is the underneath stuff and running the ball, how can you go vertical? Yeah, we have guys like Keyshawn Smith and Brashard Smith with speed, but they're being locked up by these A&M corners and defensive backs. And mind you, you had 2 players ejected for targeting as defensive backs, and then 2 players that were suspended as defensive backs. So there was a lot of players out there that were just backups for A&M. And we still couldn't do anything against their secondary.
Well, and this goes back to a lot of what we've talked about, me and Fools have over the past couple of weeks on this show, is fan expectations of what they really should be. Like I said, I had this pegged down as a loss for us.
Same.
As much as I would have liked to have won it, as much as, and I think a lot of people kind of got a false sense more so that we were going to win this game because of, A&M losing to Appalachian State. But this is something me and Pete have talked about a couple of times this week. That loss to App State, in my opinion, made A&M an even tougher opponent.
I still think Miami should have won the game. I think they outplayed A&M for the majority of the game. It was just, like I said, a couple of special teams plays here or there. I mean, it was very close. Both teams played sloppy. I mean, that's all there is to it. But I feel like Miami still should have won this game at the end of the day.
Yeah, and they had plenty of opportunities to win the game.
Yeah, they did.
Right now.
Let me ask you a question about this. So, because I'm obviously not an expert on Miami's roster or their coaching staff. I mean, I know what I know, but you guys know more. The conservative play calling was something that surprised me a little bit, especially late in the game when they're down. Instead of sort of going for the jugular and trying to get back in this thing and take the lead, they were very conservative. Is that normal for this offensive staff to do something like that, or is that surprising you?
Well, it's all new, Pete. It's new to us.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 games
it's all new
in,
staff.
3 games in, it seems to be the norm.
Yeah, and like Fool said, I think Josh Gaddis at one point just lost faith in the receivers.
Yeah, and see, everybody should pick a name like Fools because you can never be wrong. You can always say, like Fools said, it's like, hey, I'm self-titled a fool, so you don't take anything I say seriously. I'm just here for the fun. But yeah, go on, Hurricane. Sorry, man.
No, you're fine. No, just just that. Yeah, I think Gaddis lost faith in the receivers. And like I said, there were some questionable plays, like design quarterback runs for a guy like Tyler Van Dyke, who isn't the most mobile guy in the world. He can pick up 5 or 6 yards like we saw in a few plays, but he's not going to go for 10, 15, 20, make a few guys miss. But, like when you have guys that can't get off the line and they're getting locked down by that secondary, like what are you going to do?
Well, and to like what Pete said, at the end of the day, Miami should have won this game. And by the numbers, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Pass yards, Miami 217, Texas A&M 140. Rush yards, Miami 175, Texas A&M 124. Total yards 392, Miami 264, Texas A&M. So you can't blame our defense. The offense actually outplayed Texas A&M's defense, but choked in the red zone. How many times? 4?
4 times.
Yeah,
4 times.
I mean, there's your game right there. There's your football game.
JP,
Is that bad play calling or bad execution?
Well, if you look at it's a combination of both. You look at Van Dyke was I think 21 of 41. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 21 of 41 for 217 yards. So, we'll call I think it's pretty fair to say that, 5 of those end up on Van Dyke, so you have 15 drop passes for the game. You're leading.
Mallory was a bright spot on that offense. I mean, a complete baller. So I was screaming the same thing, JP, in the chat. That get him involved more, especially late in the game, which they did late in the game. But anyway, with this comment here by Trent, this isn't my channel. I know I go off on people on my channel. This is Mark Rogers' channel, but I can't help myself right now. This is the dumbest comment that you've left that I've seen all night. I honestly believe he's still hiding plays for down the road.
We're
I hope
holding on
you're
to
not
the
serious, sir.
Who are we hiding him for? Clemson?
Sir.
Florida State?
I'm trying to find this. Is this? I just
scroll up a little bit.
Yeah,
it's up there a little bit now. But I mean, Adam's sports guy's right though. I mean, they were for the most part able to run at will on A&M's front seven. Now, for the life of me, and I said this all week, that against this front seven, I think it needed to feature Thad Franklin more. Because I thought Thad Franklin was a little more well built to go against A&M's front seven. And did he even make it in the game? I mean, I'd have to go back and look. But it seemed to be all Knighton and Parrish. And yes, they're great. I'm not knocking them at all as running backs. They can make people miss. They've got great speed. But both of them are undersized to try and run between the tackles.
I mean, yeah, especially if in the red zone, we were really trying to run it in the red zone and near the goal line. That's Thad's territory. You want between, like, from 20-yard line to 20-yard line, that's where you want Parrish and Knighton because they might break off a big one. But once you get in the red zone inside the 20, you want to wear down that defense with someone like Thad Franklin.
And I just looked it up. Thad Franklin had 1 rush for -1 yard. To me, that is
shout out here to
error.
Shout out to Philip Metzger. I'm taking Miami to beat Duke 30-0 with 10 field goals. That's a great comment, sir. Very, very, very great.
Not.
Well, and this is something that I said all offseason too. This defense and the Clemson defense are going to be the 2 best that we see all year.
No, you're not. They just gave up 47 to Louisiana Tech. They're terrible. Clemson's defense is the biggest disappointment in all of college football.
Wait. I wasn't paying attention to Clemson. Are you serious? They gave up 47 points to Louisiana Tech?
They did.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they won. But, yeah, they did.
No, they gave up 20
They put up
points.
more than 47 points?
No, they gave up 20 points.
No, what was the final score of that game?
Because I heard 47.
Yeah, they won by
47.
They won by What was it?
Clemson won that game 47-20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The spread was 35, and that of course they didn't cover that. But even so, that's embarrassing. For a top, as far as the roster is concerned for Clemson, they should be top 3 every week. They gave up 10 points to Georgia Tech, which, I mean, you saw what happened to Georgia Tech today, right?
I feel so bad for Sea Dog.
They gave up 10 last week to Furman, and now they're giving up 20 to LA Tech, who is one of the bottom Conference USA teams. And Conference USA is probably the worst Group of 5 conference that there is. It's not up to par. And we got Wake Forest, then we've got NC State, then I believe we got Florida State coming up. So the next 3 games, we have 3 really good offenses, or at least decent. And I mean, it's not looking good right now for the Tater Man. That's all I'm telling you.
And now K Edwards, I do think Restrepo being out, I mean, him and Tyler Van Dyke do jive really well. But if we're having to deal with, like, if Restrepo being out is a make or break for our team, then I mean, that's obvious, huge problems. We got to have more than one receiver anyway, and he is not our most talented receiver to start with. I mean, maybe he does consistently catch it better than a lot of these people. So I don't even know at this point. I got to go back. I'm not going to go back and rewatch that game. I really should, but I don't think I have it in me to I'd have to drink 7 Red Bulls. And
I'm going to go back and rewatch it because that's not the only concern that I have. I mean, you don't have Frank Ladson with a catch. Did he even make it in the game? Why? Frank Ladson's been consistent hands, and as far as I know, is still healthy.
I saw him on the game. I saw him in the game on a missed block on a screenplay. I forgot who caught it, but yeah, he was in the game at one point.
Okay.
And yeah. Colby, thanks for coming in here. Colby's a great guy. Dogs on top. Unfortunately, I do hate to say it, but you guys look amazing. You didn't skip a beat. You're coming back rolling. Good for you. Now we're gonna go back to teaching our sorrows how to swim and crying here. No, not crying. We don't. Most of us, we've been through the ups and downs. So we're here. I'm fourth generation Miami. I will always be a Miami Hurricane. I will always love my team. It doesn't matter whether we win or lose. I'm always going to be here to support them. But I think you guys should realize by now that we are realists, and we're going to talk to you and tell you how it is in our minds. Isn't that right, Slim?
Oh, absolutely. Believe me, I've been doing it and making people in YouTube comment sections mad for years.
I'm a professional at doing that, so you don't even have to ask me that.
and we've just gotten to know Hurricane Central recently, but I believe he fits right in that category. That he's a pretty knowledgeable guy that calls it like it is as well. We're not dreaming here. We're just talking Miami football.
Pain will do it to you. Pain will do that to you.
The numbness that sets in.
I mean, like, at least you guys got to see the success of it, I came in around 2013 at 10 years old. And my first real dose of pain was when FSU kicked the dog piss out of us that year. And I was like, oh, so this is what it's like. Now I know what my dad was talking about. Okay.
Well, to be fair, anybody who lives long enough and is a fan of any college football team is going to experience massive pain. That's just the way it is. No, nobody's great for 50 years straight.
Nobody.
I mean, yeah, but I never saw the greatness. All I've seen is highlights of it. That 01 team, all that stuff. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, I mean, take Pete here, for example. Pete's in his 40s. And
thank you for that, Slim. Appreciate it.
Well,
he looks good for 48,
but my point is, I mean, the most success you've seen your program have has been in the last decade.
Well, technically, the '80s were pretty damn good for Clemson, but I was a child then, so yeah. Right. I mean, yeah. As far as being invested in it, absolutely. And Dabo, I mean, percentage wise, all the stats that they add up, he is definitely the most successful coach in the history of Clemson. So, but yeah, so but I think what you're getting at, because you want to expose me as as what Clemson used to be, and dig into my pain and sadness, is that the 20 years up before 2010 were very painful for Clemson and me. So, congratulations. And the reason I'm here is because they invited me here, sir. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I do. This is how I do my friends. So
yeah.
Imagine if I don't like
imagine
you.
what he does to his enemies.
No, Pete's super knowledgeable college football. He has a quite successful and is the most underrated college football YouTube channel out there on YouTube. That is a fact. So that is why he's here, and he's a good friend of ours. So we wanted to get some. It's always good to sometimes have the viewpoint from somebody that's non-partial to it. I mean, obviously, all of us have stake in this. Pete has no stake in this, so he can tell us what he thinks from the outside looking in.
Yeah, he's looking at it from the perspective of, I've got to play y'all in 8 weeks.
Right. So he's in here trying to get our secrets. All our fan secrets.
That's one part of it. I also do, especially when the ACC teams are playing against the SEC. I root for the ACC teams just because. I mean, well, let's face it. We all see it, right? It's all over the internet. The SEC fans are very arrogant, and they like to talk about every team that's in the ACC. I mean, even as a Clemson fan, they've been on top of the college football world, right next there with them in Alabama for the better part of a decade. But Clemson's still an ACC team. That's the only reason they're there. Blah, blah, blah. So just out of a reaction to that, I root for ACC teams over SEC teams. Now, I also don't like Jimbo Fisher very much, so that helped. I was rooting for Miami tonight for different reasons. The main reason is because I wanted Miami to be undefeated when they roll into Death Valley in November. That's the main reason.
And we can all agree on that we wanted that too.
Yeah.
Hey, let me hey JoJo with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much for supporting the show. He says it's only this coaching staff's third game. Lots of improvements, except the receivers are inexperienced. Go Canes. And see, yeah, that's a lot of good points to that. And let's not throw our season away just yet. I mean,
I don't think anybody is.
I mean, nobody. You think about it. 4 weeks until Texas A&M lost to App State, got upset by App State. Most reasonable fans had already considered and had written this off as that we were looking at. I mean, optimistically, a 10-2 season. So we're exactly where we were. Of course, I would have loved to have won this game, but after they lost to App State, everybody's like, "Oh, we're going to roll through there." And I'm sorry, but that's not an easy place to play. We should have won. By the numbers, we should have won, but we didn't. So here we are. Now we still have ACC play about to start. And, the sky's the limit. November 19th, we're going to roll into Death Valley and just
well,
ruin
it absolutely is, because yes, third game of the year, we're having trouble finding, who's going to be that number one guy at wide receiver. But I mean, by the time we hit the next to last game of the year at Clemson, nobody's going to be thinking about that. We're going to be thinking at that point, which wide receiver is he throwing to?
Yeah. Your thoughts on that, Hurricane?
I'm sorry. I kind of missed a little bit because I was lagging out. But what I did hear was you talking about by the numbers. I mean, the way this game played out is I don't know if you guys watch much hockey, but it's kind of the same as when you say, like, Team A outshot Team B, but Team B won. And it's like, okay, yeah, Team A was more physical. They were to get to the puck in the zone more and get more shots on goal. But they didn't get the puck in the net. There was those little mistakes that Team B took advantage of, and they were able to get the puck in the net and win the game because the final score is what matters. Okay, it's great that we had more yardage and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, we lost 17-9. We didn't even score a freaking touchdown. And it's just...
Yeah, and that's sad. We totally stalled out. I mean, we totally stalled out in the red zone. We were like, okay, we would be starting. They did really good with their punt game. They pinned us back, put us against the ropes. And we worked it down the field. Really good, driving it right down the center, throwing 2-yard passes for a loss. Somehow we ended up losing yards on them. And then drive it right down the center. Running plays, get to the 30-yard line, and then we were done. And there's a big problem there.
I think we just got a little too conservative in the red zone.
Really, 100%. I agree with you 100% on that. Play calling was very conservative.
I do definitely think that's a part of it. I think what Pete mentioned earlier is another part. The offensive line is improved from what they've been. That's nowhere near a championship caliber offensive line yet. They still have their problems.
Thanks,
I can't help but look at just some personnel decisions in the running game, and I saw this last year, and I'm seeing this continue into this year. With a new staff and a new system. Now, granted, I think some of that's going to work itself out. Kind of like I brought up, the first 2 weeks of doing this show. How much of a system do you have installed in 8 months? So that's where I don't think you're hiding any of your offense is, 8 months into putting it in. I think you're still working on getting your offense installed.
So I love this because this is the conversation that I've been having with Miami fans, not Slim necessarily, but other ones, is that so Mario Cristobal comes in and he's not looked at as a first-year head coach because he's not, right? He was at Oregon first. But This is his first year in Miami. Mm-hmm. And let's be real, the team that Handy Manny left behind wasn't exactly a gem. I mean, they had some good players. I feel like the expectation for Miami coming into the season by the majority of the Miami fans is just too high. And so they go into this game with a real shot, but let's be real, Texas A&M is not very good. And I feel like the expectation's been too high for Miami from the beginning of the season, and by the end of the season, it'll also be that way. Also, if you look at the landscape of college football right now, this has been a crazy year. We're in week 3 right now. The only team that looks like they have it done in all 3 phases right now is Georgia. Everybody else has problems. Everybody. Alabama's got problems. Ohio State's got problems. Clemson's got problems. I mean, go down the list.
Miami's got problems.
Well, so I don't know, man. I think that Miami should have won this game, but I think it's a little bit of an overreaction by me included, even though I'm not a Miami fan, about the way this team is going to come into form later in the year, certainly into next year.
Yeah, and like I said, this is no let's not all jump off the bus at this point. We're going into don't we got who do we play next week?
Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee State. Okay, so we're gonna go in there, refresh, lick our wounds, get back to it, and then jump into the ACC. Now we still have a great chance to, by looking at the other teams, we still have a great chance to make it to the ACC championship and play. I mean, our defense is playing really good football. So we got to tweak our offense, get the stuff together, figure it out. I'm not ready to jump ship on Tyler Van Dyke. He's done some really good things. Everybody brags about, weeks ago. Oh my God, he's the best thing that's ever happened to Miami football. Oh my God, he had a couple bad games, missed a couple throws. Oh my gosh, let's get him out of here. Get him out of here. I guarantee you could go on Twitter right now and there's probably Miami fans already screaming to fire Mario Cristobal.
I saw someone during the game on Twitter say Tyler Van Dyke's a choke artist. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, who the hell is he going to throw to? Right. Who does he have?
Well, I don't think he's really had much of a chance to choke against anything yet. And I mean, as far as him, having 5, maybe 6 bad passes in a game and calling that a bad day, I've seen Tom Brady have 5 or 6 bad passes too. Is he somehow a choke artist now?
I don't have a skin in the game, but Van Dyke was way down the list of issues why they lost the game tonight. It was not his fault.
Absolutely. To me, the 2 key spots are going to be offensive line and obviously wide receivers. And if you want to throw a coaching problem into that, a little too conservative with your play call, and I'll say one or two boneheaded play calls outside of that, because there were a few I was, but then also some personnel decisions. You know, why is Thad Franklin not seeing the field more? Especially if you're trying to run between the tackles. I want somebody that's 240 pounds to run between the tackles instead of somebody that's listed at 195 pounds. But that's just me.
And like Philip says here, the special teams, that one play with the guy muffing the punt, thinking he was going to grab it off, and you could even see he looked up before. He was already in his mind thinking, I'm going to juke this guy, I'm going to juke that guy, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go that way. He took his eyes off the ball, and that is like the most critical thing. You have to keep your eyes on the ball. He was already looking forward past catching the ball, and that right there, that one play, I don't want to put everything on one person, and it's not. Obviously, there was a whole game. A lot of things could be done, but that gave them that easy touchdown that put them ahead by that one score. So stupid little things like that. And I do agree, our special teams looks like crap. We really got to get that together. We got to have discipline there. Otherwise, you can't afford that in a close game where you lose 17-9. That one play can be the total difference.
I mean, just look at the swing. You have the muff punt, which results in a touchdown. Let's take that off the board. They don't get that touchdown because we have the ball, and they only had one offensive touchdown and the field goal. So that's 10 points. And the one blocked field goal, let's say the defensive lineman doesn't get to the line, then there's another field goal there. We have 12. Borregales, he missed that other field goal. Let's say he makes that one. All of a sudden now the score's 15-10 and we win the game. I mean,
yeah, mistakes. You can't have mistakes and go into a place like College Station and win a football game. You better go there like Appalachian State did and play flawlessly and win the game. You can't have all these, like even there at the end, what would we get? Offside. It was like, or false start. Back this up, and all of a sudden we're sitting there, second and 30? And you have the holding calls. The stupid mistakes are just, we're shooting ourselves in the foot the whole game.
I mean, Zion had the big holding. He had the ineligible receiver downfield. Zion just didn't look good. He was taken out of the game a few times.
Yeah, and then there was some ticky-tack stuff. Like me and Pete were sitting there watching the game together on his live stream, and both of us blew up when they threw that flag on Will Mallory for that little ticky-tack holding. I mean, that really was nothing. That one they called on Mallory when he was blocking the wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was not a holding call.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, the issue with holding and targeting to some degree is that it's very subjective, and you can call it on a lot of plays that were not call it, and they called it on that one. But it didn't affect the play. That's one, and I still debate whether he held them at all. But I mean, little stuff like that does make a difference, especially at the end of the game.
I mean, there was one holding that wasn't called where the running back, Devin Achane, whatever the hell, he had a big run up the middle for about 10 yards, and Leonard Taylor had just gotten a tackle for loss on him, and Leonard Taylor blows through the offensive line on this second play, and you could see on the replay and even during the lane, I yelled out, holding, because Leonard Taylor's about to turn around and make the tackle from behind on a chain, but the offensive guard just pulls on his hand, pulls on his shoulder, and just kind of holds him back a little bit of a subtle holding, but like still clear enough that I was able to see it. And it was just stuff like that.
One, we really got hosed on that face. I mean, that was clearly not a face mask that we got caught on. I'm joking. The one where we were actually like picking the guy's nose. We grabbed his face mask.
He just sprayed Three Stooges and stuck his fingers inside of his eyeballs.
Right.
Well, the only question I have towards that, and I've seen it for years, and I've seen Miami running backs get away with it. I've seen running backs from literally every football team, college and pro, get away with it. They'll call the face mask on the defender, but every time the running back does it, it's just a stiff arm.
Well, that's true.
I mean, because literally, whoever it was that got called for the face mask on the run, It moved them half the distance to the goal, so it moved the ball 3 inches after the run. But literally, both of them had a hold of each other's face mask, and it's like, why throw it?
That is true, Slim. But I mean, the same goes for targeting. I mean, the running back can lower his head and lead with the crown of his helmet. He's never going to get called for a targeting.
Well, true that.
Yeah. So I mean, you just have to kind of know that going into it. But I mean, I agree with what you're saying. But it is what it is. That precedent's been set a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've seen it my whole life.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, Duke. Everybody at Miami loved Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson was the worst about that. He'd grab hold of somebody's face mask and push off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that we can say this over and over again, but the defense looked good. The offense, we really need to work on it. And what was up with the constant? And I guess to the point, Texas A&M is a very talented team. I think they could be coached better as well and be doing a lot better. But we didn't have open receivers, so maybe that's why we were constantly. Van Dyke was constantly having to throw these 3-4 yard passes. We got to figure out a way to open up the field.
Yeah, well, and this is kind of a thing I've seen out of Miami kind of consistently over the last 15, 17 years. I mean, you go back. They lost to a top 10 Oklahoma at Oklahoma, but they turn around and beat a top 10 Oklahoma in Miami. What was that? That was 2009. Yeah. But then they go to the Horseshoe a couple years later, lose to a top 10 Ohio State.
Top 3. I think they were number 2 in the country. May
have been. But then turn around the very next year, top 15 Ohio State comes down to Miami, and we handle them. Same thing with A&M back in 2008. A&M came to Miami, and we beat them. Same thing with Nebraska. Same thing with Notre Dame. Lost to Notre Dame at Notre Dame in 2016, and they turn around, come to Hard Rock the next year, and we beat them. It for some reason that seems to be a trend that this coaching staff needs to break. And I don't expect them to break it, 3 games into their first year. But this is kind of one of those things that's par for the course that the coaching staff's going to have to kind of work out.
I know we've addressed this already, but it's an ongoing theme that I'm seeing in the chat and on Twitter and everything else that I'm watching right now. Tim says terrible performance by TVD. Let us down yet again. I disagree with that. Did he play great? No. But like I said a few minutes ago, on the hierarchy of where Miami lost this game, TVD is way down the list, 4th or 5th on that. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not as emotionally invested, and I just don't think that Van Dyke played bad. I think he was put in some bad situations. Yeah. Did he make a couple of bonehead plays? Yeah, he did. He wasn't getting much help from anybody else outside of Mallory.
Mallory, and I'm glad he's okay. He took I was scared for him there for a minute. He let it right on his head. I was glad to see him get back in there.
There's something else I want to point out in the chat. D. Hernandez, Gaddis is Enos. Gaddis is not Enos. Gaddis is not Enos because Enos couldn't even run the ball for 2 yards a carry. That's an exaggeration, but
let me dispel this myth as if it already hasn't been dispelled. Does anybody?
Let me do it.
Does anybody know where Dan Enos is right now?
Maryland.
Yeah, you know how many points a game Maryland is averaging?
I'd imagine more than they averaged at 2019 Miami.
Yes, quite a bit. Dan Enos is a hell of an offensive coordinator, but this is proving once again that 5 minutes into it, if something ain't right, Miami fans are just ready to get rid of somebody. Dan Enos is a hell of an offensive coordinator and has got Maryland averaging almost 40 points a game.
I didn't know that.
And it goes back to what I said 20 minutes ago about how much of an offense do people expect a brand new staff to have installed in 8 months.
Yeah, and that's 8 months of you can only have practice this day, and there's a whole lot there. I mean, all of a sudden,
so it's really only 2 months,
right? They throw these people in, and they say, okay, figure it out right now. This is what the NCAA is going to let you do. Have at it. Let's go. You put a whole new coaching staff in.
Between these months, the staff outside of strength and conditioning, none of the coaches are allowed to even speak to the players.
Right.
My question is,
go ahead.
People keep asking for Garcia. We've already seen Garcia. So let me ask you a question objectively. I got 3 Miami guys on here. Who would you rather have as your quarterback next week, Garcia or Van Dyke?
Van Dyke.
Yeah, Van Dyke.
Okay, so I guess maybe I'm just focusing on 2 or 3 idiots in the comment section. I don't know.
It's just that's what Miami fans are. Just an overreaction to everything.
2 or 3 idiots in the comment section. I agree with you.
Well, I mean, you see it all the time. Pete. I mean, you've got half the fan base that wants to. Okay, DJ's showing us something. Let's ride with DJ. And you've got half the fan base. Okay, I've seen enough. Give me Cade Klubnik.
Well,
now I don't want to for a second take anything away from Jake Garcia either, because Jake Garcia is undoubtedly a very talented quarterback, and maybe you do put the kid in, and he does. I say kid. He's not a kid. He's a man. He's over 18. I hate that expression. I hate that I just said it because I hate calling the kids. Yeah. He's a young man. He is 10 for 10 on the season when he's been in a game, and he is a very talented quarterback. So, what do we know? Maybe you do throw the guy in, and he all of a sudden lights everything up and does that. We don't know that. Should he be played more in games where we are winning so we can see what he does? Yes, I very much want to see that. If we go out there and we're playing against, Duke, and we're beating Duke by 30, 40 points at halftime, yeah, let's see what he can do. Put him in there in a real game situation and let him run more than just the last 8 minutes of a game. And we'll know something. But at this point, we do know what Tyler Van Dyke can do, and we know what he can't do. So, and what he can't do is design quarterback runs for 28 yards on third.
I know a little bit about something about that. Yeah, I know a little bit something about that.
Well,
Pete, you've been just as guilty, Pete, because you were out there ready to throw the ukulele under the bus.
I'm not passing judgment on it, but
you threw the ukulele under the bus.
I didn't throw him under the bus.
Okay, what?
Ukulele for 3 years. Okay, Tyler Van Dyke has started 6 games now.
Well, he's probably up to 10 now total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
9, 10, something like that.
Yeah. 11 around there, yeah.
But it's also with 2 completely different offenses. Definitely completely different. It's a night and day difference with the style of offense between Josh Gaddis and I'm having a brain fart. What was his name?
Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, Rhett Lashley. Those are 2 very different offensive styles.
Here's the difference, though. My criticism wasn't necessarily about DJ himself. It was about how the coaching staff decided to use him. It was more a criticism on the coaching staff than it was on DJ himself, because I think DJ is very talented. I don't like the way that they feel like that they can use him the same way they used Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, because he's not the same guy. But I'm seeing people here, TVD can't pass. He sucks.
Yeah, we've got a Dongbe saying TVD can't throw. The guy throws dimes. The guy throws dimes right and left. He did miss. I think two key passes tonight. There was the wide open one that was a key pass. That was a very.
I'll even throw in the one like Brashard Smith laid out for one, and it was still just kind of off of his fingertips. So okay, like I said, you give him 5 passes that were on him. But my challenge to people that say, like you said a minute ago, you were reading a comment, TVD let us down again. When has TVD ever let us down? Ever?
Right. Yeah. You say let us down again. He took us last year. I mean, everybody was on this. What was his name? The
And
quarterback.
we went from De'Aaron King getting hurt to Tyler Van Dyke getting thrown in to the starting quarterback role, and he won 5 of the last 6 games. The
Exactly.
one he
That's not
lost
letting
was
us down.
on the road to, you want to say Florida State's bad, whatever. It's a rivalry game. I've seen 6-6 Miami teams take Jameis Winston down to the last whistle.
Right. I'm not off the Tyler Van Dyke bus. I like Tyler Van Dyke. I think he is a good quarterback. We just need to we got to execute. The play calling's got to be a little bit better. We got to execute. But you say that, but the play calling is these coaches sitting there looking at what they know that these players can do and making play calls that coincide with what they think the potential of what these players can do.
Absolutely. I mean, because we, and myself included in this game, I was not a big fan of a lot of the check downs that were being thrown. And I know that's Van Dyke going through his reads, and I know that's worked a lot over the past couple of weeks, but A&M is not that same level of talent, and you're not going to get the same yards after catch against A&M corners that you're going to get after Southern Miss corners.
Yep. And Tim, I mean, yeah, like he says, still have faith in the team, not overreacting, just hate when we beat ourselves on and off the field. And basically, we did do that tonight. We had that game. We could have won that game. We should have won that game, but we didn't win that game. We beat ourselves again.
Well, and I, to a certain extent, I even agree with Tim's comment above that about, maybe taking a chance on 4th down in the red zone instead of going for a field goal.
That last one, I don't remember exactly how much time was left. It was 4th and 4 or something, and they kicked the field goal to go within 8. And that's great. But I was like, field goals aren't doing you shit in this game. We've already learned that. You just go for it.
I mean, wide receivers weren't doing us shit either. So,
well, yeah, but so even if you get the field goal, you're still down by 8. You have to rely on your wide receivers to drive all the way down the field again. So you're already there.
I mean, I think
I felt like
when he took the field goal, I think there was about like 7 minutes remaining. So when he did,
but you still hadn't had a touchdown the entire game, and so I just feel like that was the time to strike and get the field goal. And I mean, Miami ended up losing anyway, so I guess we're both wrong. So
yeah, I know. I mean,
it doesn't matter what.
I mean, they were down not 14. They were down 11 at that point.
Yeah.
So if you go for it on 4th down, you don't pick it up. You're still down 11 with the same amount of time, 7 minutes. And the defense had been playing well all night. So there was definitely a lot of trust in the defense. So you kick the field goal, you're down 8. That's still a touchdown with the 2-point conversion. 7 minutes left. And I think we got him on a 3 and out, or maybe they picked up 1 first down on the next drive, and we got him out of there quick. So that part of it went to plan. The only part of it that didn't go to plan was scoring some freaking points.
I got you. Hindsight's 20/20, and at the end of the day, it might not have mattered either way what they did on that particular play. But I think that Miami would have had a better chance. They played very conservative the entire game. We didn't see them really go out on any limbs. Can somebody name a single play where they really went out on a limb?
Not one.
Not one.
Well, yeah, maybe thinking that Tyler Van Dyke could run for 30 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going out on a limb. A designed quarterback run.
There was the one flea flicker. They took a deep shot to Keyshawn that Tyler kind of overthrew him a little bit. Keyshawn did get a bit of separation.
Yeah, he should have. That should have been a completion, but that's not an easy play.
And even that's another one that stood out to me. Was very underwhelming, and a lot of credit. I don't think we're also giving enough credit to A&M secondary, because that is a bunch that was not torched in that App State game at all, and I think proved tonight that they are an elite unit in college football, because that's why he had to check down to just a 10-yard pass on that flea flicker, because everybody else downfield was covered. I mean,
and that's a good point, Slim.
They were
that
keeping
is a really
two
good
high
point.
safeties all night. I think for that very reason, I think they might have been expecting a whole lot of downfield shots. And
Well, anybody that went into this game thinking that Miami was the more talented team hasn't been following college football for the past 3 years. I mean, Texas A&M has out-recruited us, has out everything. They were the more talented team going into this. That's my opinion. Am I wrong?
no.
No.
Texas A&M is legitimately a top 5 roster in the nation, probably number 5, maybe 6 at worst.
And a top 20 coach.
Yes,
I mean,
they are more talented than 80% or 90% of the teams they face every single week throughout the season.
Yeah.
On paper.
And Miami is somewhere around. I mean, they were 13th last year. I'd have to look up and see where they are this year.
They're 13th
But based
again.
off, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know who you bring in transfers affects that, but I mean, based off the recruiting class, I was just going to say they were at 14th. But okay, they're the 13th ranked roster in the nation. I mean, listen, okay, we lost a game to a top 5 roster in the nation, but outside of Clemson, and especially with what we've seen out of them, who scares me going forward?
Yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good answer. Good answer. Us. Well, yeah. Because I could see us going in there and running the table, maybe even going in and beating Clemson. I mean, the way Clemson's playing, Pete. I mean, you got to say that's a very good possibility that could happen. I could see that being a very low-scoring game. 2 good defenses playing with crappy offenses.
Well, right now, Clemson's problem is their defense, in my opinion. The offense is turned the corner. It's the opposite of what I thought it was going to be at this point in the season. So
okay, then maybe it works that way.
Offense right now. I mean, about the defense than the offense.
But what more Miami thing would it be to go in there but lose to Duke and know so somebody else? It would just be and go in there and beat Clay and end up losing to Pittsburgh or something, and they get to go to the ACC championship instead of us or something like that. I mean,
Twitter would lose its freaking mind if that happened. My God.
Well, and that's
are you on you on Twitter?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you need to make sure we hook up on there.
That's the thing about this game, though. It does not affect any of what I think the goals for the season should have been, and honestly, at this point, still should be.
I agree with that.
I think that Miami. There's a reason Miami's favored to win the Coastal, from what I've seen out of everybody else in the Coastal so far.
Yeah, FSU. I mean, I'm going to give credit. I'm going to give credit where credit's due to our little sister. They're playing surprisingly good football. And
ACC is interesting, man. You got to play Florida State. Of course, they're not in your division, but it's still a conference game. Pitt's not a pushover. North Carolina could be interesting. I mean, I still think Miami's better than North Carolina. I'm not saying
we got North Carolina at home this year, so that's a very good thing.
You got Clemson in November.
We are cursed when we go there.
Look, Miami's road is not that as easy as you think it is, Slim. I'm telling you. You've got 2 or 3 games there that are very losable.
I'm not at all saying that Miami should cakewalk through it. That's not at all what I'm trying to say.
And there's a whole lot of people pointing fingers out there. Okay, and like I said before, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I don't care who you were. I don't care who's the 2022 college football season prediction video that came out. Everybody, I mean everybody, had Miami losing this game.
Yeah.
Not until they lost to Appalachian State did all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, Miami's going to just go in there and just beat the heck out of them. No, that was unrealistic. I mean, Pete, you know me, Slim know me, Hurricane up there, you're just not getting. I mean, I'm sarcastic. I make jokes about Miami going 231-0 and blah blah blah. But I'm a realist in reality. But nobody at the beginning of the season, before the season started, gave Miami any chance of winning this game against Texas A&M. We went in there and beat ourselves and lost this game, in my opinion. I mean, Texas A&M didn't play that great of a game. Their offense, I mean, they only put up 17 points. So I'm proud of our defense. Looking forward, I'm like, yeah, you know what? We got a pretty damn good defense. But you know, I mean, we say it over and over again, but yeah, we got to figure some stuff out on offense. We got to learn how to. We can't get in the red zone over and over and over and over and over and over and over again and not score touchdowns against high class teams. Not that we have a lot of those moving forward. We don't have a whole lot of teams that are going to be as talented.
That's exactly the point I was making, where Pete thought, that I'm just saying Miami's going to cakewalk through it. Is there anything that you've seen out of North Carolina's defense that thinks we're going to have the offensive struggles that we had tonight?
No, except for the fact that a lot of time we say that about a lot of teams in the past, but we always end up beating ourselves. Like Virginia last year. You look at Virginia last year, they had a terrible defense. And during the first half of that game, I was at that game, they played well against us, and we beat ourselves in that game. That's another game where we beat ourselves. That's
not only
what
that,
we've done.
North Carolina's got a legit offense and a legit quarterback. North Carolina's offense is better than A&M's is. And yes, Miami looked good on defense tonight, but you have to consider who they were playing against. I mean, A&M has been one of the worst offenses in the country over the past couple of weeks. So,
and Calvin Johnson puts out a thing. FSU doesn't scare you. Yes, FSU scares us every year. I don't care if FSU is
going to be a good game.
One win team. I don't care if they've won 1, 2, 3, 4 games. Is it? And they go, of course, that's going to be a good game every year, 90% of the time, 99% of the time in my lifetime.
10, baby.
Right, exactly. But the majority of times that game happens, that is a close game, no matter what. There's a handful of times it's gone blow out one way or another, but yeah, of course, that rivalry is always anybody's game.
Well, yes, and a rivalry game doesn't necessarily, fall into that category either. So I wouldn't.
Right. No, I was just addressing. I was just addressing it.
Yeah.
He's like, FSU doesn't scare you. Well, of course. I'll never sit there and say, oh, we're going to beat FSU. It's a given. No, it's never a given. And
but at the
FSU
same time,
fans feel the same way.
And this is something that me and Pete have been disagreeing on for weeks now. Pete's more impressed with Florida State than I am. That, to me, that LSU win doesn't give him a whole lot of credibility. And then that pitiful performance against what everybody pretty much consensus believes is a terrible Louisville team
is that a consensus belief? I don't know if that's a consensus belief or not. Louisville's 2-1. Florida State's 3-0. LSU just won tonight against Mississippi State. They were going to lose to.
Louisville's 1-2. They lost to Syracuse, got blown out by Syracuse, and lost to FSU, and then they beat UCF by 6.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. They beat UCF. Anyway,
20-14.
I don't know. I guess we do disagree on Florida State. I don't think Florida State's a world beater or anything, but I think you're underestimating them. They might end up beating you, honestly.
They very well might.
Well, to me, that game, as far as I'm concerned, I don't look at the line every year for that game. To me, that's a pick'em game every year.
Right, and to the point I was making, exactly that. It doesn't matter if one's on top or one's on the bottom. None of that matters. That is a rivalry game that means the world to all the players, all the things. To win that's like everybody's Super Bowl. To beat your rival.
But I mean, I do agree Pitt looks tough, but Pitt has already taken a lot of injuries early in the season, and we played them to end the season. So I think that bodes well for us. Yes, Duke is 3-0. I'm not overly concerned with Duke. I'm not concerned at all with anything I've seen out of the Ramblin' Wreck.
Poor Sea Dog.
That name really is ringing true right about now.
That might be the only team that we can all agree on is terrible.
But
how
might
go 0-12? Could they go 0-12?
No, like I said, how Miami would it be for us to run the table the rest of the season and then go in there and lose at that dump stadium in Atlanta?
Georgia Tech already won a game. They beat Western Carolina last week.
Yeah.
By how much?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. They won. I don't know what the score was.
And I agree with you to a point about North Carolina. I want to see them line up against something other than a Sun Belt defense.
Yeah.
Before I'll anoint them something great. They're not bad. I'm not at all trying to say that.
Offensively, they're very impressive.
Like I said, I want to see them line up against something other than a Sun Belt defense first.
All right, I got you.
And we got them at home. I mean, we are cursed when we go to North Carolina. we are cursed at winning there, but we got them at home this year. I put a W on that one.
Well,
Yeah,
and I've said this for a long time about North Carolina. They've just been the fly in the ointment since we've joined the conference for whatever reason. I don't get why. There's really no reason why. It's just North Carolina has been that thorn in the side, no doubt about it.
So here's our schedule looking forward. So I can put it up there. I made sure before the show started. I made sure I had one with an X, one with a check, just to make sure. Didn't want to be the one that jinxed us. But so looking forward. I mean, and next week obviously is a win. Then UNC, and I think we're in good position to win that game. I mean, looking down at the rest of it, I think until we get to Florida State on November 5th, we should in all likeliness be good. Then go to Atlanta, slaughter the Yellow Jackets. And then we got that really easy game at that Death Valley place on the 19th that we'll all get to go to together. So that'll be fun. And then Pittsburgh. So I mean, looking forward, I think we're in a pretty decent position.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction very well may come out true, and a lot of other people's. There's a lot of people that's got Miami. They had us penciled in to lose this game in Clemson. That's it.
Right, and that's what I was saying.
All of that is still very possible.
I mean, the best anybody gave us at the beginning of the season going into this was a 10-2 season. I mean, that was like our ceiling was a 10-2 for what everybody said.
By the way, a 10-2 season for Miami and Cristobal's first season, a success. If that's what ends up happening,
I'll be happy as can be. I'll be happy with a 9-3.
Well, I know, but there'll be people who. I'm just telling you.
Oh, I know. I know my fam.
Yeah.
I know my Miami fam. I love my Miami fam, but I know it.
Anybody who's realistic should consider a 10-2 season for Cristobal to be a success. They might not win 10 games though. I mean, I'm not convinced of that yet. But that would be a massive success, in my opinion.
But listen, even if I'm right, say they go 9-3. 9-3 in Cristobal's first year is still a massive success.
I agree with that too,
yeah.
9-3, chances are you still very well made the ACC title game. Because
at 9-3, we almost definitely would, assuming that our loss came to FSU or somebody like that. I would think that.
Yes, somebody in the division.
Yeah. Say for instance, it is FSU. We have no losses in the division.
Right.
We would end up winning it.
Right.
And okay, you at least as far as my goals for the year. Fine, you've won your division. You're making it to the ACC championship game. You have a rematch against Clemson. It is what it is. You make it to a bowl game, and you win your bowl game. I don't care what bowl game we make, win it.
Oh, wait. What is this win a bowl game thing you're talking about?
I get it, and that's exactly my point.
I don't know what this is.
That is exactly my point, sir.
Yeah, I really don't know what that is.
Have you ever seen one in your lifetime?
2016 and 2006, but for that 2006, I was 3 years old.
Right, it's sad.
Yes, we won 2 bowl games since 2006. You want to see Miami get better? That's one of the things that has to happen. They have to win bowl games, even if it's not a playoff game, even if it's not a New Year's Six game. Which you make it to the ACC championship game, it's probably going to be a New Year's Six.
and see, to anybody listening, don't think that we're pessimistic on Miami. We're just realistic on Miami. We're not going to sit here and tell you, you know, a bunch of hype but there's plenty of channels that you can go to and get that somewhere else and listen to a bunch of people talk nonsense. But we're being realists, and it did kind of not bother me, Slim, but I go back and read the comments after these. So make sure comment on these videos. Let us know what you think. But I do go back and there was people commenting on the videos like, listen to these guys, they're already eating their crow. We weren't eating crow. We were just speaking realistically of our expectations of this game tonight. And we weren't out there like Miami Twitter or these other YouTubers, you know, which I love all these Miami YouTubers. I'm not taking anything away from them, but and I like the hype. I like the thing, but we all have to have some kind of base where we sit here and go, okay, this is realism. And let's look at it from this. And you're not disappointed when I'm not disappointed in Miami's performance tonight. I overall, I think we
want to
could have
talk
done
about
better.
realistic. You want to talk about realistic. It don't get no more realistic than this. And I caught a lot of hate from Miami fans about this. I could care less at the end of the day what they do this year. Or frankly, even what they do next year. Because regardless of what you think of the coaching staff and their ability, or the team and its ability, by 2024, 2025, that's a top 5 roster in the nation, and they're bowling through their schedule except for Clemson fighting for that playoff spot.
Now, Slim,
that's
the
what
only
this
reason
team is 3 years away from.
Well, where I will push back on you on that is it does make a little bit of difference with recruits coming in. I mean, people do like to go where things are going good. So you got to be a little bit careful with that.
I don't disagree with you, but do you think that with Mario Cristobal and Joseph Adai and Charlie Strong, Gaddis, Ponce, all these guys, not only did he get some of the best individuals at certain position groups, across the board, they're all A++ recruiters.
Right. And no. I agree with you. I look forward, but I don't want to write off the seasons as, you know.
But where winning and losing hurts recruiting is when you're like South Carolina bad or you know, something like that. Like these, I think too much emphasis is put on these players, these recruits. You know, are you going to the playoffs every year? Are you winning 10 wins? They really just want to know what the university can do for them personally, as opposed to are you winning 11, 12 games a year? And Mario's a great recruiter. And as far as I can tell from the outside, Miami is putting a huge investment, monetarily and otherwise, into the football program. They're trying to, let's be real here, they're trying to catch up with the Clemsons of the world, or the ACC. They're doing their best to do that.
Yep.
And to Slim's point, that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 1 year. They went and got Dan Radakovich from Clemson, the athletic director. Why? Because what did Dan Radakovich do at Clemson as athletic director? Massive monetary success. That's what he is. He's a money guy. And you're already starting to see all kinds of things happening. As soon, the minute they hired him, Miami's transformed into something different than it was even 2 years ago. And so I agree with Slim 100%. What happens on this field this year? Yeah. I mean, look, if they go out, if you go out there and are fourth in the Coastal, that's not a good look. But in general, you should not be so concerned with what happens on the field this year. You should be looking to the year after and the year after that. I think 3 or 4 years is very reasonable to achieve your goals. And I don't even think it'll take you that long, really. I mean, the Coastal is so volatile that it's been waiting for a team to come and take it over, like Miami.
Yeah. And to your point exactly, they're not recruits aren't necessarily worried about teams that make the playoffs every year. That's obvious. Georgia doesn't make the playoffs every year. They haven't. They've made the playoffs twice. And Kirby Smart has brought in nothing short of a top 5 class and a few number 1 classes.
I mean, yeah, I just want to add on to that. like I was looking at this loss tonight, and am I upset that we lost? Does it sting? Yeah, because we very easily could have won this game, and we've said it before, we should have won this game. But I also said this earlier. Normally, we go into these games, SEC team on the road, or even just SEC team period, or a good team period, and we get smacked around and blown out. This year, that didn't happen. Even with Texas A&M and the offense that they have, a few years ago, or even last year, 2 years ago, this would have been a blowout, and they probably would have had their best offensive performance of the year. But it takes time to build a program because, yeah, did we get a lot of good players from the transfer portal? Yeah, we did. But we still have that deficiency at wide receiver. We still have the deficiency at linebacker. But those positions over the next 3 to 4 years, like you guys said, will be filled. We've got guys like Robbie Washington, Nathaniel Joseph. We're competing for guys like Hakeem Williams, Jeremiah Smith, Josiah Trader from the 2024 class, Raul Aguirre, Bobby Washington, Malik Bryant. Those are already guys at linebacker for this next recruiting class. So slowly but surely, we're going to start building that depth and that talent that you see teams like Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, that they all have. That's why Georgia's so good, because just look at their tight end room. They've got 3 tight ends that could be starters, and not just starters, but stars on any other team in the country. Clemson has an all-world defensive line. I mean, Pete said the defense is being kind of disappointing, but that's how they came into the season, with a lot of guys with NFL potential. That takes time. Dabo Swinney didn't do it overnight. Hell, he got blown out by West Virginia at the Orange Bowl.
To be fair, what happened with Dabo Swinney is very rare in today's football world.
No, it's just an example.
No,
Like,
yeah, I understand what you're saying. But it's just something I hear a lot, and I'm just pointing it out, is that very few teams are willing to sit around for 5 and 6 years to wait for a Dabo Swinney to come along. And to be fair, there was a large, fair majority of the Clemson fans were calling for Dabo Swinney to be fired after losing 5 times in a row to South Carolina. And thank God the people in charge knew better. But
yeah, and back to the recruiting point too. You've got a recruit sitting in the skybox tonight can go, okay, I can come in on this team next year and make an impact immediately, and Miami doesn't lose this game. And that's what a recruit's going to be looking at too. If you don't have that guy step up on the field in the wide receiving corps now, he's going to get his place taken by somebody that wants it.
Right, and I agree. And that was my point too. I mean, I do agree with you that, recruits look at it like building. I mean, what did we go last year? 7-5, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, which is, for Miami, that's not good. That's not good at all. You don't want to do that again. Like as long as we're moving forward, what was the point I was trying to make earlier? As long as we're moving forward, then we're doing something good. So, I mean, I was going to be 10-2. I would be an ecstatic Miami fan at the end of the year if we went 10-2. Went 9-3, I'd be happy. I'd be like, okay, we've made improvements. We're moving forward. We're doing this. 8-4, I'd be like, okay, well, at least we did better than we did last year. We don't want to end up being 7-5 again. And that's what I was saying with the recruits coming in and stuff like that. Like, you want to at least be able to show them that you are creating a better program.
And I completely get the point you're trying to make. Now, I'm not the greatest X's and O's guy. I'm just not. It's not something that really can even hold my interest that much. But I do notice a lot of the trends in college football. You know what one of the biggest trends is in college football? When you bring in an entirely new coaching staff, you have a worse record than you did the year before.
Yeah, that's very much
happens
possible.
all the time. I mean, perfect. We were just talking. I just mentioned Georgia a minute ago. Georgia won 10 games the year they fired Mark Richt. Kirby Smart came in and went 7-5.
Right, and he's built a program from there.
There's an exception to every rule. I mean, South Carolina was 4-8 when they fired Muschamp, and they went. Shane Beamer's first year won 9 games, but now it looks like they're back to being their old selves again. Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. I couldn't go through the show without taking a shot at South Carolina, right? I mean,
I would think there was something wrong with you if you didn't.
Yeah. Do you have a good soundbite from your friend or?
I don't know if it's worthy of the. I mean, I'm not worthy, but appropriate for the Mark Rogers channel. I do things.
Oh, right. Yeah, if it has if it has those bad words, but Carolina Jackpot, man, he is quite the. If you ever want to see the best game reactions, I don't know him or Always Irish, one or the other is giving you the best losing reactions that you could ever possibly hear.
Oh no, yes, when Always Irish and Carolina Jackpot, and you'll get a whole lot more of them out of Carolina Jackpot because South Carolina does a whole lot of losing. That is YouTube gold, my friend.
The Always Irish one with him, play that one, Pete. You can actually that one's.
I don't feel well. Jesus. Life shouldn't be that stressful. If this is my show 2 weeks in, by week 10, I'm going to be doing the show from a casket.
Always Irish. That guy, anybody that's not following Always Irish, he is just humor after humor after humor after humor. The guy's great. I don't feel well.
and as Miami fans, we should all just absolutely enjoy the misery that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan base is basking in at the moment.
Yeah, and to anybody listening, at least you know that. I mean, even after a Miami loss, that we're still having a good time. So, here we are. We're still having fun, even though we lost. We're still optimists. We're still looking at it from a fun perspective. Still talking Miami football. Still a family. Still going on. And hey, we're going to be all right. This isn't the end of the world. Losing to Texas.
Well, it's like I said earlier. Every goal of the season is still achievable, even after this loss.
Well, from an outside perspective, obviously, I don't care who wins this game. I'm not a Miami fan. You should at least feel good knowing that people like me that don't have any skin in the game. I looked at that game and thought Miami is not the worst team in the situation. You play that same game with the same players 5 times in a row. I don't know. It would be 3-2. So it wasn't like
one way or the other.
It wasn't some sort of glaring deficiencies with Miami. I mean, look, if you're a fan of Miami, you're going to nitpick it and say this person, that player, this play call, that coach, whatever the case is. But from the outside looking in, Miami could have easily won that game. This was not by any stretch of the imagination some sort of domination by A&M.
Now, okay, with that being said, Pete, do you think this is a good example of Texas A&M's 12th man, having its effect on the game?
Oh, you mean the Aggie Man dance?
Exactly.
maybe practicing yelling the night before might have helped a little bit. I don't know.
Hey, we did have fun last night. Hurricane up there. You missed out on last night. You got to make sure you come in and hang out with us, Hurricane Syndrome, because we went live last night and we all went to the live stream of the Texas A&M and we trolled them into it was fun.
I don't know if I could have done that one because I saw the videos on Twitter and I heard the first joke that they told at that midnight yell thing and I was like, I'm out. I can't.
Oh,
it's
dude,
so bad.
They live stream the entire event on YouTube.
Yeah, they do that. They live stream them all.
It was apparently so cringe that somebody wrote an article today that it was so bad Miami deserved to win by 100.
I don't know, and I would play it, but I'm not going to do it because I played it on our live stream earlier, but I'm not going to do it on Mark's page here because I don't want to get him copyrighted.
Yeah.
But so I'm not going to do it, but I have the video of their jokes, their insults of Miami, and I mean, even if they beat us at a football game, they lost in their own right.
They lost on Friday night. They were lucky to win on Saturday night, but they lost on Friday night. I don't think anybody's disputing that outside of College Station, anyway.
But no, what I meant by that question was, I mean, do you think that it was, that hostile crowd, that road environment that Kyle Field, I mean, definitely is known for? Because I didn't realize, I don't watch too many Texas A&M games. I didn't realize that the sidelines were 15 feet deep. That's it. I mean, the crowd is literally right on top of you.
Yeah, it's definitely not a. I mean, it's known for being one of the hardest places to play. So, that's why I say to any Miami fans listening, don't go to bed mad. Don't beat yourselves up. None of us expected a perfect season going into this season, realistically.
I know a few Miami fans that expected a perfect season. And
Yeah, I knew Miami fans that expected a perfect season when we hired Al Golden. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely those fans out there, but a realistic Miami fan with a new coaching staff, like Slim has pointed out over and over and over again. I mean, come on, guys, let's look forward. Let's be optimistic.
100,000 18-year-old boys with crew cuts is very intimidating.
In overalls. It was the overall. It was Zach. Man, it's all Zach's fault. That guy, he got under our skin.
I did see one funny tweet though, where it was like the Texas A&M like stadium security. Every time there's an incident, they have like a tweet go out of like if someone they removed or like some action they took, and it was just like a bunch of the tweets, and someone just put, "Yeah, this might be the most exciting play-by-play of the game tonight, right here."
Yeah, and I really hate that it was a boring game tonight. I mean, that really was just a really boring game. I wish something
boring as so much as it was just sloppy on both sides.
Now, here's another thing I want to ask. What is the deal? Why are these commercial breaks? Why do they seem to be longer than normal?
Because they are.
Has something changed? I mean, is there
something has definitely changed? We've gone from 3-hour games almost to a T. To last year, it was creeping up around 3.5 hours. Now, I think the majority of the games are pushing 4 hours at this point.
Yeah, it seemed like we were doing nothing but watching.
I don't know how long the game was tonight exactly. I know I was streaming for 4 hours, but I don't remember how long I came on before the game. But
I mean, I changed from Sprint. I changed from Sprint to Verizon to Sprint while eating Cheez-Its and watch. I mean, those commercials were just endless. The same commercials too, over and over.
The reviews, instead of taking what they should take 30 seconds, I mean, that we all see on TV, they're staring into that, whatever that little box is on the sideline for 5 minutes straight. I mean, the reviews are a big part of it too, I think.
Have they ever thought about making that box bigger so they could see it like we see it? Or
maybe the ref on the field isn't actually the one reviewing it. The ref upstairs in the booth is. So why is he staring at it down on the field too?
Well, there you go. So the way you fix this, in my opinion, is you have some sort of third-party arbitrator that's off the field that can review it in real time really quickly and give the call to the judge on the field. I don't know why he's staring into some 1980s looking rabbit box on the sideline and having some discussion over CB radio for 10 minutes.
Right. It's like they got this little 8-inch screen they're sitting there looking at, and the guy's like all serious staring into this, and it's going into the box.
I'm convinced the referee is doing whatever he's told to do over the headset anyway. So why even have him look at it?
For sure.
Yeah,
I guess that's the only
thing. We sound like a bunch of Karens right now. Get off my lawn.
My football used to be 3:15 and now it's 3:35. What the hell's going on here?
It is too long though. and there's secondary damage to this because these games run over from noon. And then so the games that happen at 3:30, they don't start on time and they start switching around channels. I get aggravated if I have to go to another channel. I'm already getting aggravated. I got to go.
man, hey Pete, you'll appreciate this. I was so mad. I was so mad tonight. No, I was so mad tonight that I didn't realize. So I'm sitting there watching the end of we started live streaming this game. I'm sitting there watching the end of the LSU, and finally my friend Guru comes on. It's like, hey, you got to go over to ESPN News to watch this. So then I tune into ESPN News. Then next thing I know, I'm watching like them playing that like paddleball trampoline game, and I'm like, I thought it was a commercial. So I'm sitting there watching that for like 5 minutes and not realizing that the game's actually going on the regular ESPN channel again. So now I'm like, oh my God, now I got to get a controller, go back, flip through, go all the way back through, find that channel. Then I start watching the game and I realize I'm 5 minutes behind watching it live streaming. And I'm like,
that's my point. God. They got you searching around like you're looking for the Ark of the Covenant or something. I mean, it's a football game, man.
No, for me, it was, I don't have ESPN News on my cable package. So I tried to switch over to it and it's like, oh, you don't have this. And I was like, man, what the hell? And I go to the LSU game and they're just taking 15 minutes to snap the ball. The clock
Right.
isn't running.
It was the slowest.
No, and it's like I was like I'm watching the game and I was like, okay, 6:34 remaining. Like 15 minutes go by, 4:15 remaining, and I was like, how the hell have only 2 minutes gone by?
Same here, my friend. Same here. I'm like,
No,
Jesus Christ. And I'm trying to live stream the game, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is horrible.
No, and then LSU scores the touchdown to like basically put it out of reach, and I'm sitting there with my friends, and I'm like, all right, switch the games. It's over. It's over. Just switch it. Give me Miami A&M. No one cares about this anymore. Just switch it. Who gives a damn?
They're like, well, there's 14 seconds left, but we got to do a 20-minute review of this play. It's how you feel. It's like, Jesus Christ.
No, and then they did the post-game interview, and I was like, why are you doing a post-game interview? There's another game going on. Just switch it over. It's over.
Yeah, let's talk about the last game that lasted 4 hours for the next hour. But guys, I do really have to go. But thanks for having me on. I really do.
Pete, thanks for coming on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
A lot of fun having you on here.
Absolutely.
Join us anytime, man. Hey, and anybody, that's Pigskin Pete. Make sure you go sub him up. He does really cool call-in shows. Pete, you tell him. You're better at giving your spiel.
Well, I don't know. I do 1 million live streams a week. I don't even. I don't have my schedule to put up on the screen for you, but 6 days a week I'm live streaming, sometimes multiple times a day. Do game streams, call-in shows, and everything in between. It's
but it's mainly Wednesday and Friday night with college football.
Well,
right?
It's all week for college football, but yeah, if you're just looking for college football and that's it, it would be Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah. So make sure you sub up Pigskin Pete. Pigskin Pete.
Yes.
All you got to do is type that in. Thanks so much for stopping by.
All right. See y'all later.
All right.
Go
All
Tigers.
right, see you, buddy.
All right.
Screw you, Tigers. Screw them Tigers. We don't lie. No, Pete's a great guy though. Everybody listening should sub him up. He does have a really, really good, fun show and even during the off season, all year round, he's live every Friday, Wednesday, and during the days, all the time. Pete's always live streaming. So, guys, anything else you want to touch on? What do you got?
I'm pretty much done. Yeah, I've said everything.
I mean, you want to throw out some optimism here at the end or something like that, and give these people something to be happy about. I don't want to be a pessimistic show. I don't want to come on here and just tell everybody that we saw. Let's be optimistic as well. Let's look at the good.
Some of it does come down to like what I said earlier. That is one of the two best defenses that we're going to see all year. Next game obviously is going to be a win. Nobody's worried about that. And then we get into ACC play. I mean, North Carolina's defense, doesn't stand a chance against, a bunch of kindergartners with scissors. That's how bad North Carolina's defense is. Now, that'll be a test for our defense, I think, no doubt, because even though, yes, and I made the comment, I'm going to stand by it, I want to see, North Carolina's offense run against a defense that's not from the Sun Belt. I do think they are good. How good they are, like I said, is going to get against some better competition, and we'll see. But they've got games to play between now and then. Georgia Tech, we went through the schedule. Georgia Tech, Pitt, Florida State and Clemson really would be the only two potential losses that I see left on the schedule, or at least best chance for them. And the rest of it, I'm not going to say we're going to cakewalk through because the offense obviously has got some things to work on. But not saying they need to rely on a guy like Restrepo, but having a guy like Restrepo back and him having such a rapport with TBD, that's what builds momentum on a drive and can keep a drive from stalling out.
Right. I agree. And I just dropped Pigskin Pete's link into the chat. So do go over there and give him a follow. It's well worth it. And we can all be friends there. It's good. Give him a follow. You'll have fun. What about you, Hurricane Central? What do you think?
Like I said, before in the past, we normally go into these places and get blown out. This time we were actually competitive, which I put out a score prediction on my Instagram, which self-plug, go follow that. Just hit 2,000.
Yeah, plug yourself. Plug yourself. Tell everybody.
Just hit 2,000 followers. Same thing you see on the screen. Hurricane Central. Yeah. I mean, before the season started, I put out my season prediction, and I had this penciled in as a loss, just like everyone else. And I said it before the season. If we go into that game and we look competitive and we look like we belong, I'll walk away being like, okay. I mean, I'm not happy. We lost. I'm never going to be happy after a loss. But just being competitive as to where in the past we would have been blown out, I'm just like, okay, that's better. Just excited to see how we look over the rest of the year. Hopefully we can figure out the wide receiver position and someone can step up. Really missing Charleston Rambo right now and Mike Harley. Overall, still feeling okay about the year. It's not the end of the world.
No, and I agree. Everybody that's pouting or wanting to stomp their feet and yell or anything like that. I mean, let's regroup, go in there, get the W next weekend, refresh, lick our wounds, and get back out there and start playing really good football.
We have 2 weeks until ACC play because it's next week and then a bye week.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
And I think somebody potentially to step up into that role. And I don't know what's going on in practice. None of us really do. But I'll bring his name up again. Frank Ladson, as long as he is healthy. I mean, that is really the only complaint Clemson fans had about him was his inability to stay healthy. If he's healthy, I mean, he's 6'5", 215 pounds. That's a big target to throw at. And, I mean, use him the way – I mean, I don't like making comparisons to college and NFL, but use him the way Tampa Bay uses Mike Evans. You throw up the ball and you've got a 6'5" receiver against even a 6-foot corner. My money's on that 6'5" receiver.
I mean, you don't even need to compare college with NFL. Just look at yesterday's game, Florida State and Louisville. That wide receiver that Florida State had, Johnny Wilson. I know his last name's Wilson, but he's 6'7". Obviously, okay, Ladson's not 6'7", but still the same thing. A lot of passes over the top. He had one touchdown where he literally snatched the ball over a defender. That's a big weapon to have. When you have a receiver with size and strength that can just go up and snatch the ball out of the air, that's a tool that could be used offensively very well.
And some of these comments, and I appreciate everybody checking in. We appreciate it. But like right here, this game was ours for the taking, and same old Canes. It was not the same old Canes of the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I mean, we've explained this. Go back to the beginning and watch this, but it was not the same old Canes. Yeah, sure, we got a lot to work on, but it was not the same old Canes.
Well, and I think he's just looking at the end result, and in a way, in the end result, yes, it is. But why is that? Because there have been 6 head coaches in the 18 years we've been in the ACC.
Exactly, but that's why I said to go back and we've talked about this to look at it from the beginning. That I mean, we're moving forward, we're making progress, like both of you have stated. I mean, our defense gave up 17 points at College Station. I don't care who you are. Good luck going into College Station and only giving up 17 points. That doesn't happen a lot. I mean, that's a really hard place to play. Our defense did good. Let's work on the offense. Let's get it figured out. Nobody gave us a chance of winning this game 5 weeks ago. And
okay, Tim. Yeah, same as in our beating ourselves. But my point still stands that until you break the cycle, people like to use this analogy all the time. The definition of insanity is repeating something over and over and expecting a different result. Well, we're 5 minutes into a whole nother coaching regime, and you've already got people out there talking about getting rid of them.
Right. Hey, one thing I do want to take just 2 seconds to do before we go. I almost forgot, but See this cool shirt right here? I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to full screen it because I'm going to plug somebody here just for fun. Solo layup. So here's a cool shirt. Cristobal 22 Highsmith. I want to thank Jordan Nelson. And I think he actually did some of these shows last year, the post game shows. But he sent me this shirt. Him and Marsh. They got a great thing with the 4Ups podcast. If you're on, I'm not a big podcast guy, but I do listen to their shows on, what is it called? Anywhere, Apple Podcast,
Spotify.
Thank you very much. Spotify. Yeah, they're on Spotify. That's where I listen to them. Make sure you do follow 4Ups podcast, and they got a new thing out called @About the Fans. If you go to Twitter and go @About the Fans, they're selling T-shirts and stuff like that. And they sent me this shirt. Jordan and I have been friends, and Marsh too. We've been friends for about 4 or 5 years now. And they sent me this. So yeah, big plug to them. Thank you very much for the shirt. Check it out. They got a whole lot of cool other stuff on there. If you want some cool Canes gear, stuff like that. I do very much so appreciate it, my friends. So make sure you do follow Jordan Nelson @Jordan Canes on Twitter and check out the cool stuff they're doing. Yeah, there you go. There's a plug. I do appreciate the shirt too. It's pretty cool. And I'll wear it with pride. I'll probably actually wear it to the Clemson game. But yeah, guys, I guess moving forward next weekend, I hope that we have, it'll probably be a day game?
Yeah,
More
3:30.
than likely.
Yeah, 3:30. So
I'll be getting on from the car again because I'll be at that one.
okay, you're gonna go to that game.
Yeah.
Slim, you'll be around, right?
I should be.
Yeah, you're usually home now every weekend. You got a wife, about to have a new baby.
I'm about to say I've got one more week of me taking out of town trips, and then I'm done till after she has the baby.
There you go. You're going to be around. You're going to be around, without a doubt. Anything else you guys got to say? Slim, you want to plug yourself or anything like that, or?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, yeah, Slim Shady Canes. You do have a YouTube page though, so follow Slim Shady Canes. Now, what about you, Hurricane Central? Do you have a YouTube page, or what you got going?
I do. Mostly just the Instagram. Trying to get into the YouTube thing. Haven't streamed or anything, but I did upload the hype video that I also uploaded on Instagram there. Yeah, same.
Let's see. Give me 2 seconds. Let me find it. Is it Hurricane Central?
Yeah, just like that. I think it's all together. Let me see. Yeah, it's just all together. With Mario Cristobal photoshopped as Tony Montana.
Let's see if I can find it. Oh, I see it right there.
Yeah.
Hurricane Central. You got okay. So you uploaded a Miami hype video. All right, cool. Let's drop that in the. Shoot.
Yeah. Trying to figure out a schedule to maybe go live, but I do school at night, so I got to see about that.
Well, if you need any help, man, reach out. I'll jump on with you anytime.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
I'm sure Slim would too. So
yeah, appreciate that.
Oh, wait,
but as far as anything else to say, yeah, just still feeling good. To please all the Canes fans out there, I'm just gonna say we'll finish 11-1, ACC champs, college football playoff, and we're beating Georgia in the national championship.
I agree with you. I actually think this is gonna happen. I actually think this is gonna happen. Hang on, buddy. I'm trying
15-0, beating Bama by 30. Back-to-back national champs. First 2 years for Mario. That's what's gonna happen.
All right, I think I just dropped your link. I'm pretty sure I did. That should be Hurricane Central right there. If not, I apologize. If it's not Hurricane Central and I sent you to some weird site, I'm sorry. I was not the one. All right, cool. Thank God. I never know what's up on this browser. But yeah. So everybody listening, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you do hit that thumbs up. And you can find, if you have any interest in following the nonsense that I have to say, look us up on Twitter, Traveling Fools. My wife and I, we've done travel videos for years, travel content, and we're huge college football fans. So we post travel stuff on Twitter all the time. Traveling Fools. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. Same name, Traveling Fools. We will come up, I promise. Just look for the goofy guy with the good-looking wife. I don't know how I ever managed to do it, but I tricked her and she married me. So that being said, go Canes. At the end of the day, let's go out to some good music. Let's be optimistic. Let's be happy. We're on to something good. Canes family, we love you and thank you for tuning in to the voice of college football's Miami Postgame Show. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you next Saturday night.